This is the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, and today let's talk about whether you can market your business during a national crisis.
Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast on SelenaKnight.com. Stay ahead of the competition by opening your doors to business experts so you can learn, grow, and be inspired. Passionate about bringing business strategies to independent retailers, please welcome your host, Selena Knight.
Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. Now, last week, I did say that in today's episode, I was going to be talking all about when and how much you should pay yourself in business. However, I am going to interrupt our regularly scheduled program to give you something that I think is really important, and it's quite time sensitive. It's no news to just about anybody anywhere in the globe that here in Australia we have a bushfire crisis. I mean, half of the country is literally on fire. And as retailers and business owners, it can be really difficult to work out exactly what you should be doing in these circumstances. Should you stop marketing altogether because it's insensitive? Or should you be donating a specific amount of your profits or your turnover to a charity? It can be quite a confusing situation to navigate. So I thought I'd share with you some tips on whether you should and can be marketing your retail or e-commerce store when there's a crisis going on. Now, it doesn't matter if this is an earthquake or a flood or a hurricane, or in our case, a bushfires. The fact is, these natural disasters are going to happen. So what do you do as a business to respond to those situations? I recorded a Facebook Live talking all about how you can navigate this really tricky situation. So let's jump in and have a listen. Hey there, I just wanted to jump in and talk about whether you should still be promoting, whether you should be doing marketing, whether you should be running ads, or even talking about your business when there is a national crisis. So the reason behind coming on Facebook Live and talking about this is because if you've been anywhere near a broadcast in the past couple of weeks, it doesn't matter if you're in America. I know the Australian bushfires have made the front page of the New York Times. My assistant in Bosnia knows all about the fires. The UK, everybody is aware that huge sections of Australia have been ravaged by unprecedented bushfires. And as I get on here live on Facebook and record this, what's going to be a podcast, I am totally grateful that most of my team are safe. Okay, so I have to be honest and say I'm not quite sure what's happening with one of our team. I hear on the grapevine that Fiona is safe, and Fiona, if you're seeing this, please get back to me. I know that her town was under threat and she and her husband stayed to defend their town and their homes. Elizabeth has been evacuated several times from her home in Australia. And whilst we're safe here in Sydney, we almost didn't get home for Christmas, because if you've followed the podcast, if you followed me for a while, you know that we have a house down the south coast that we rent out as an Airbnb. And we took some time, a couple of days just before Christmas, to go down there and just have a little bit of a recharge. And actually, just after we came home on Christmas Eve, just a couple of hours later, the roads were closed for quite some time. So the way that we've been affected, like many of the people who are in the bushfire areas, is we've lost productivity at work, obviously, because we can't be sending emails when you've been evacuated from your home. You've got other things going on in your life. Personally, we've lost tens of thousands of dollars in income because this is the peak season for down the south coast. And I know that the girls have gone through a lot of stress, being kicked out of your home and having to evacuate and not knowing if your home is still going to be there tomorrow or in 2 hours from now. That is a lot of stress for people to be put under. So as I say this, I'm totally grateful that we're pretty much safe for now. But like loads of other people who are talking on Facebook, who are just talking amongst themselves. Our hearts are breaking for people who have lost their homes, who have lost their livelihoods. And there are thousands, probably tens of thousands of retailers in Australia who have been affected by bushfire events. And here's the kind of the good part of natural disasters is people bond together. And it is so amazing. I'm seeing in Facebook groups everywhere this outpouring of charity and assistance being offered to people who you've never met before. One of my really good friends was trapped. She was just in the beach before Mollymook. So she was at Lake Conjola just before, on Christmas Eve, actually. And no, Boxing Day, sorry. And they got evacuated into the lake. And once the roads were able to be reopened, they had to queue up to escape the area to get back to Sydney. They had to queue up overnight on the highway for the highway to be opened. And she was saying it was amazing. People were sharing food and people with caravans were sharing their bathrooms. And one man even came up to her and asked her if she needed anything. And she got to talking to him and discovered that his whole house had burnt down just the day before. So when there is a time of natural crisis, we band together as a community. And that's just one of the things that I want to talk about today. So there is this outpouring of charity and assistance, and people just want to do whatever they can. And I've seen this not only in crisis here, but in places all over the world. We just want to help other people when times get tough. So when that happens, when you're an independent business, how do you react? What do you do? And what I found, just as I said, just scrolling through Facebook groups is probably the biggest place that you can see this, is independent businesses seem to be the first people to step up and support their communities. So businesses are offering money, they're offering goods. Meanwhile, those big businesses, the department stores, the chain stores, they seem to take a lot longer to be able to react. And that's probably because we have the ability to pivot really, really quickly as an independent business. So I am so truly proud to be part of that community. But what I am seeing, and in fact, we've had a couple of emails asking this question, which is, can you continue to market your business? Like, what do you do as an independent business owner to move your business forward during a difficult time? Because business as usual seems very, very disrespectful. And how do you continue to survive when it feels like you're being a really slimy salesperson if you continue to market your products? So I wanted to take this opportunity to share with you some really simple ways that you can keep trading and be totally sensitive to what is happening around you when there's a national emergency, when there's a crisis, bushfire crisis, a flood, a hurricane, all those kinds of things. What can you do when you're either directly affected or it's part of your community? And maybe that community is just part of being in the same country. So let me sort of start by saying that you can feel a really deep empathy and sympathy and genuine emotion for a crisis, even if it's not affecting you. Like, I know that I find tears in my eyes hearing these stories, and I get the lump in my throat when I see the videos. So you can feel empathetic, but you do not need to feel guilty about continuing to operate and to market your business. And here's why. Because if your business doesn't make any money, then you can't help other people out. So without that money, you won't be able to contribute to disaster relief funds, and you won't be able to contribute to future spending in areas that have been hit, and you won't be able to give product if you want to, because you won't be able to buy inventory. So you can't feel guilty about still needing to make money when there is a crisis going on around you. So I'm kind of giving you permission to say it is okay to continue to operate and market your business. However, let's talk about how you go about doing that without looking like you're a complete douchebag. Because honestly, there are some things going around where clearly they're not being insensitive, but clearly they haven't actually responded to what's going on around them. So the first one is to just acknowledge acknowledge the crisis and how it's either impacting you or your customers. So just acknowledgement, like don't just pretend it's not there. Okay, it's happening. We all know it's happening. So you have to be personal. If you've been impacted, you have to let your customers know. And I can say from experience that we actually run Facebook ads in our marketing department for a company that has shops that are in the area that has been bushfire affected, and they are getting a string of Facebook messages asking them if they're okay. So you have to let your customers know. They do genuinely care about you. I mean, you have a tribe of people. This is the bonus of being an independent store. You have a tribe of people who love what you do, who love what you sell, and genuinely care if you're okay and if your business is going to survive. So if you're affected, please let your customers know. Let them know that you're safe, or let them know that you have been affected and that business won't be up and running again until a certain point of time. But if you haven't been directly impacted, then you have to empathize and acknowledge what your customers or the people who are around your customers might be experiencing. Because we can feel guilty as customers about spending money because we sit there and think in the back of our heads, we're justifying, should I be giving more? Should I be doing more? Should I be giving to another charity? So your customers are feeling this indecision as much as you are. So the first thing is communication. So communicating that you genuinely care, communicating about how the crisis is impacting you, even if that's just that you truly empathize with what's happening. So, I mean, I just can't, it's hard to fathom what people go through. And even having a property that literally has fires a couple of kilometers away, unless you are in the thick of it, it is so hard to comprehend what people are going through. So if you are being affected by it, and if you have had to close your business down, or if you can't get any stock, like the businesses in some of these areas haven't been able to actually get the stock to be able to sell, that's the stuff where communication comes in. So communicating with your customers, communicating with your suppliers, communicating with the community at large. And I'm going to talk about community in just a minute. So communication, number one. But number two is to donate if you want to, but don't make it a sales opportunity. And I don't know about you, but I subscribe to a lot of mailing lists, and over again, in fact, I started typing the notes to talk about this. And when I went into my email, there were 3 emails doing exactly this. And then I'm going to give you an example of one that just popped up just a second ago. I'm going to read it out and say why it is so different. So if you want to donate on behalf of your business, go ahead and do so, but do it with no strings attached. So whilst it might seem like donating 10% of your profits is really generous, and for a lot of you, that is a huge amount of money to be giving away, in your customers' eyes, they can't see past the 90% that's still in your pocket. Okay, they don't understand what it takes, what it costs to run a business. They don't understand that that 10% is actually money coming out of your personal bank account. So instead of actually giving away 10% of your profits, why don't you encourage customers to donate by sharing details for the charity organization that you donated to, or selecting maybe a panel of 3 charities that totally align with the values of your store. Okay, so that is really important, making sure that the charities that you support align with what your business does. So if you're a pet store, maybe you want to be donating to Wires. If you run women's fashion business, maybe you want to be donating to a charity for that helps women. So making sure that that charity is aligned with your business is going to help your customers reinforce what your brand is all about and reinforce that you are totally on the same page as them. But you are not donating profits. And I'm not going to go and say that, calling people out who are doing this, saying that they're doing anything bad, because it is a huge, generous gesture. But what I'm just trying to give you here is another perspective. So go ahead, donate on behalf of your business if you want to, but don't use it as an excuse to market your business. And this is what I am seeing in Facebook groups everywhere. It's, hey, we feel really, really bad. If you buy from us, we will give you such and such, or we will donate such and such. There shouldn't be strings attached, right? If customers want to buy from you, they'll buy from you. But you shouldn't make them feel guilty about buying from somebody else. So I know that a lot of independent retailers are already stretched financially and under a lot of pressure to compete with other retailers, and contributing large sums of money during a crisis can actually push them to breaking point. So don't use this opportunity to try and attract people to your business in a way that says, if you buy from me, you're taking away from somebody else, okay? Just be happy that people will buy from you because they align with what you sell, they align with your brand, and give them the opportunity to donate to a charity that is in alignment with your business. So communication, one. Second one is donation. I just want to pop up, let me just grab it from my inbox, because just before I jumped on to Facebook, I got a very different type of email. And so this email came from the software company that I use to send out my proposals for our marketing and our speaking and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just going to read out. It's literally one paragraph. It says, "Hi there. I've been reading all about the news in Australia and I feel devastated. I really want to support and help where I can. Newsy's second biggest customer base is in Australia. So I've decided to give all the revenue that came from my Australian customers during December back to Australia by donating it to a charity that helps rebuilding what has been lost. And I chose the following charity." And then there's a link to the Wires charity. Best wishes, Michael, founder of Newsy. Simple, right? But he hasn't made his donation based on you buying from him. He's actually doing it retrospectively. So I thought this was a really good way to actually donate without feeling like a slimy salesperson, because you see that and you think, cool guy, you know, he's given up his already accounted for revenue from last year and he's going to donate it back. And that email made me feel so much better than, I was just trying to think if I have one here. I thought I might have kept a couple in my email, but I didn't. But basically, hey, buy from us. And this is coming from some big businesses, like big, huge brands that you would see. And I just don't understand the concept. I know it comes from a good place, but it's basically saying, if you don't buy from us, then someone else is going to miss out. I'm just looking in my email now. $2 from every coffee is going to be donated to bushfire relief. So again, it's, if you buy from us, then we're going to help. But if you don't buy from us, we're not going to help, which to me feels just that little bit icky. So think about it from all aspects when you are deciding to donate, but don't donate with strings attached. I think that's probably what I'm trying to say. Don't donate with strings attached. The next thing that you have to do is to think outside the box. Like the Newsy people donating their previous revenue, I think that's a little bit creative. But as an independent business, you probably can't afford to do that. What I am seeing is, and I have to say big businesses doing this as well, what I'm seeing is very creative ways that don't necessarily mean you're taking money out of your own bank account now. So I noticed that Qantas are offering you the opportunity to donate your frequent flyer points. And then I also, once I saw that, I actually realized that a lot of other independent retailers and chain stores and department stores as well are offering customers to donate the opportunity to donate their loyalty points instead of redeeming them. And when they're donating their loyalty points, a couple of things, I've seen it done a couple of ways. So some is donate your loyalty points and we will give that as a cash donation to a charity. But the other one is donating their loyalty points to somebody who's in need. So sort of pooling them together so that in the future, and we'll get to that in a minute, in the future, maybe in a few weeks or a couple of months, the people of that community can then use those loyalty points to purchase the things that they need. The other thing that I've seen people doing is in a cafe, giving customers the opportunity to donate a free coffee to emergency services workers. So when you get your 10 stamps, you can actually put that card on the wall and use that free coffee, basically donating that free coffee to an emergency services worker, which, yeah, it's creative. It was going to be redeemed anyway, but this way you can kind of feel like you're giving back. You get that fuzzy feeling and feel like you're doing something without actually having to dip into your pocket, because not everybody can afford to dip into their pocket. That's what we're trying to say. Some people can, some people can't. And maybe personally you can, but as a business you can't. So thinking outside of the box, different kinds of ways that you can use to still market your business, but feel really good about it as well, and have your customers feel really good about it. Now, often customers, I was going to say, just before I say that, the other thing that I've seen people doing is offering a discount on items that are being requested by relief organisations. So there's often things like baby wipes, eye wash. The local pharmacy nearby gave a discount to anybody who was going to be donating this list of items to a relief organisation. So maybe that's some way that you can do it as well. So it's only on a specific range of products that's being requested that you give that discount. And further to that, you could become a collection point for donations in your area. If you've got the capacity to do that, if you've got the capacity to actually run that donation drive, then maybe that's a way that you could give back if you can't actually afford to give back through money. If you have some extra space, maybe you could offer it to a local charity or to those people who are making up all of those packs that are going out to people in need. They always need space, and they always need product, and they always need volunteers during a crisis. Just further on to the idea of being able to donate or reduce the price of specific items, you've got the ability to use your contacts, right? So get on the phone and get suppliers on board with either donations or negotiate some deals to discount a specific number of products to people who are buying for a relief what's the word? A relief fund. You have contacts. The general public don't have that, and I know that just personally. We have one of our actually old employees is one of these donation points, and over again, you're seeing people say, "Why aren't the grocery stores giving me a discount to buy these things?" So again, they're just slow to respond. So what I'm saying is, you can be the hero here. And I'm not saying it in a really negative way. I'm saying you are a local person. You are a community-based business, because that's what makes you different. So get down and dirty with your community, and it doesn't have to be using cash. So you have to remember that, and I'm reading these stories and hearing them from other people, that the fallout from a disaster, whether it is bushfires or floods or typhoons, hurricanes, all those kinds of things, while they're immediate, and this is when everybody gives, the actual fallout lasts for many, many months, sometimes even years. So there is nothing wrong with you actually stepping back and saying, what can I afford to do now versus what can I afford to do in the future? So just like any other marketing effort, formulate a strategy that has a positive impact for the future of your community, but also for the future of your business. Remember, you can't be guilty about needing to make money, because if you don't make the money, you can't help the people. So I know that charities are usually over the moon happy when they get support after all the media hype dies down. So the third one is, thinking outside of the box. So just being a bit creative and realizing that it doesn't all have to be about cash. The next one is to give positively to your community. So in times of crisis, we know that people band together, and communities especially, and a community could be anywhere. Just like my friend Renee, who was trapped on the highway in her caravan, they became a little community. So already And the bushfires are not even close to being over. They've been going on since September, but particularly, fierce over that Christmas period. But what I am seeing, and just even like we're in Sydney and we haven't been affected, but I'm seeing this in our local community group is people want to support local producers. They want to support local businesses. They want to support local retailers. So this is really encouraging, but it's also a little bit exciting because it's kind of like when life gives you lemon, you make limoncello, not lemonade, make the limoncello. Trust me, you'll need it. It's exciting because it reminds people that independent businesses, and I don't like the word small businesses, but independent businesses are the heart of what makes a community tick. So you've got to see the silver lining. And the silver lining is this is just bringing renewed awareness that as an independent business, you are giving back in so many ways. But you have to make sure that you are present and you are visible in your community, even if that just means being in the local community groups or hanging out on your Facebook or Instagram page or picture of you volunteering, so that when customers are ready to buy, and maybe they're not ready to buy right now, but when they are ready to buy, you are going to be the first person that they remember. Your business is going to be what they remember. They're going to remember what you did for their community. And we're not doing this in a way to bring the attention in. You're doing this because you're a genuine person or you're a genuine business. But it doesn't say that it can't have a flow-on effect. And again, you're not a douchebag if you embrace that this is what marketing is. And if you don't survive, you can't continue to support your community and you can't continue to support the disaster relief funds. You can't continue to support your own family sometimes. So people are really fragile in amidst a crisis, and while it's kind of going on and just afterwards, people are fragile. But you have to be positive about what this could do. Just like I said, there's positivity that these crises, is that the plural of crisis? These crises actually drive awareness for local businesses. You don't have to be overly enthusiastic, but you just have to, see the silver lining. So give positively to your community and also be seen, be out there. You can't shrink back because you feel that it's a bit icky to be marketing your business. Which brings me to the next thing. I was scrolling through my Facebook feed. I've had 2 weeks off, okay, so I've done a lot of Facebook scrolling. And I'm seeing ads with very inappropriate language and very inappropriate emojis. So the fire emoji, we used to use it all the time. A little bit insensitive right now. And this is not people being insensitive on purpose. It's just that they had an ad that was running really well and they didn't want to turn it off. So during times of crisis, it is really important to check the messages that you are sending out to your audience. So if you've pre-scheduled social media posts, just go in and have a check over and make sure you haven't used the words like on fire. They're not going to, it's really going to give you some backlash if you send something like that out. If you are running ads, just have a check in and see what they say. If you are just posting as you go and you have emojis that you regularly use, maybe just have a think before you press the send button. Just have a look at what you've written and think, is this just a little bit touchy right now? It's not much, but the ads, I've just seen like 3 or 4 of them just over the last couple of days. And I'm just like, do I say something? It's not my job to say something, but I know from both sides of the fence. I know from the marketing side, if you've got an ad that runs really well, you don't want to press pause on it because you kind of get penalized. You use what we call your Facebook juice. You use that, you lose that. But is that worth the backlash that you might get? And just some of the things, I'm just thinking of what they are. Red hot specials? Maybe not so much. Fire emojis. I saw one that had smoking deals. Again, probably not the best words. What was the other one? Something along the lines of, you'll be dying to get your hands on this, or something along those lines. So just have a think, just have a bit of a review of what your language looks like on social media. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to when, the question I said was, can and should you still market your retail or e-commerce business when there is a national crisis? And the answer is yes, for lots of different reasons. One, you can't support other people if you can't support yourself. Two, people want to be hanging out with other people in their community. They want to be buying from local businesses. They really have an affinity for you and your business and your staff and the products that you sell. So yes, you can support charities. Don't make it with strings attached. Yes, you can give back to your community. And I'm saying tell people, that's fine. If you want to donate money, if you can only afford to donate $5, donate $5. If you can afford to donate $5,000, donate $5,000. But do you have to tell everybody the amount? I don't think so. The fact is, you're giving in any possible way that you can. And don't feel guilty if you can only afford to donate $5, because that's what you can afford. And literally every cent helps these people. But if donating is not your thing, we've just talked about loads of ways that you can give back to your community. So I know that some people don't like giving money over because they worry about where it's going to end up. So maybe you do go and donate to those relief funds. You buy some tubes of toothpaste. You give what they're asking for. You give your cup of coffee to your free cup of coffee to an emergency services worker. You do what works for you, okay? And don't feel guilty about what that looks like. But do continue to market your business in a really genuine, empathetic way that shows that you care about what's going on, address what is happening, and know that it might take a while for people to get over, but they will remember how you behaved in this national crisis. So I hope that this has been really helpful for you guys. If you've been worrying about what you should be doing, like should you be marketing, hopefully these are some great ways, both personally and as a business, that you can give back to your community, still market your business, still continue to give and to grow. And if you aren't already subscribed to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, head over there because you'll get great marketing tips for retail and e-commerce businesses. I'll see you later, guys. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selinaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.